Ah, classic Bloodborne, the cult classic from software game. I first played Bloodborne in the summer of 2023, right after beating Elden Ring. I remember being astonished at how the lanterns were a side of grace equivalent, and that the lantern closest to Gascoigne was a full, like, 2-minute run back far away, and that mechanic is absolutely brutal. Elden Ring had basically no run backs, and I was definitely spoiled by the stakes of America. I was actually thinking of quitting Bloodborne when I got hard skill checked by Gascoigne, but my brother walked in on me struggling and told me to keep trying. And eventually, after like 10 tries, I beat him. I did the stair strat and beat him with Viscerals in Phase 1, and then Molotovs in Phase 2. I jumped up and screamed and celebrated with my brother, and I continued playing, hungry for more. And I would play so scared and so anxious that I wouldn't even sprint in the game. It was scary enough walking around Yarnum. That's how heavy the atmosphere of this game is. My friend John watched me play through the area before Dark Beast Carl, and he said that this game makes him feel schizophrenic. I wholeheartedly agreed with him. That's the kind of vibe this game gives off. Surreal, overwhelming, and like your mind's not entirely your own anymore. I actually took time off my first Bloodborne playthrough to play a happier game in Tears of the Kingdom. I personally needed a happier and brighter game to play at that time of my life. But even while I was exploring Hyrule and killing Ganon, part of me was still thinking about Yarnum and how the job wasn't finished. Eventually, I came back when I was in a better headspace, and I cruised through Bloodborne. You know, taking time off games to play them at the right time of your life was a good idea for me. Bloodborne is one of the most depressing games I have ever played, and it was definitely not good for me at the time. However, I felt an obligation to hunt. I already became the Elden Lord, so what is stopping me from going out and killing a few beasts? My return to this game opened my eyes to the beautiful intricacies of Bloodborne. One of the biggest things that stood out to me right away was the weapon design. Compared to Elden Ring, where I was stuck with a single weapon for long stretches, Bloodborne made me want to try everything. Every trick weapon feels handcrafted, like it was designed not just to function, but to express something. The first time I transformed the saw cleaver mid-combo, it kind of blew my mind. It's not just like a stat stick, it's like a personality. And the Thread of Cain feels so elegant, and the Kirk Hammer just feels so powerful. The Whirligig Saw, which I'm using on this playthrough, was pure chaos. It was one of the most fun builds I've ever done. Bloodborne doesn't give you hundreds of weapons like Elden Ring does, but the few that it does give you they're so unique and so deeply integrated into the combat that they all feel and are viable in their own way. The parry system too just hits different. In Elden Ring, I barely parried at all. It felt too risky and clunky and not always worth it unless you were like fully spec'd for it. But in Bloodborne, the gun parry is core to how I learned to survive. It felt like I was finally playing aggressively in a Souls game instead of defensively. Timing a visceral attack never got old, and it turned every encounter into a mind game. Staggering an enemy mid-swing with a well-timed pistol shot, then jamming your arm into their chest for a visceral is peak fromsoftware. The game forces you to learn spacing, timing, and rhythm. And the best part is that it rewards style as well. You look cool while you win. This one Reborn fight is hilarious. I just completely destroy him with a Beast Blood Pellet and Fire Paper, and I just hold down L2, and he's done. He just takes it. And yeah, Bloodborne has some of the most grotesque boss designs I've ever seen in a game. Each one feels like a twisted painting come to life. Orphan of Kos was genuinely hard and required kind of a lot of training to beat. Lady Maria is honestly a better Malenia. Ludwig's lore and soundtrack are S tier. Even the lesser discussed bosses like Ebrietas and Amygdala are visually unforgettable. I remember beating Amygdala first try in front of my friend John. I was one hit away from death and out of blood vials. But I hit her in her dangling arm and killed her before she killed me. John and I jumped up from the couch and screamed in disbelief and pure hype. The memories that I have playing all of these games are priceless, and that's why I like them so much. It's not just about the gameplay or the bosses, it's about who I was when I was playing them, what I was going through at the time, and who I shared those memories with. I'll never forget struggling with Gascoigne and my brother walking in at the perfect time to cheer me on, or my friend John watching in disbelief as we tiptoed through the Nightmare Frontier, or even all my other friends who I have forced to play these games. Shout out to Garrett, Cameron, Hunter, and Trevor. These moments aren't just gaming memories, they're real life memories tied to laughter, frustration, relief, and excitement. Bloodborne left a mark on me in a way that very few games ever have. It's tied to real moments in my life, sitting on the couch with my brother, pacing through Yarnum while my friend watched in awe, pushing through tough days just to lose myself in its world for a while. It became something that I looked forward to, something that I could talk about, laugh about, and remember with people that I care about. It wasn't just about beating bosses, it was about creating memories that stuck with me long after the credits rolled. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you later.